What does a dinner in Washington have to do with your job, your rice, your future? On July 20th, 2025, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. touched down in Washington, D.C. for one of the most consequential state visits by a Philippine leader in decades. It's not just another diplomatic event, it's a moment with real-world stakes, impacting the lives of millions of Filipinos at home and abroad. Marcos was welcomed at Joint Base Andrews by Philippine Ambassador to the U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez and U.S. Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson. It's the first official visit by an ASEAN leader to meet with President Donald Trump since his return to the White House. And it's no ordinary meeting. At stake are critical issues. The 20% tariff the U.S. will begin imposing on Philippine exports starting August 1st, deepening defense partnerships in the face of rising tensions in the South China Sea, and strengthening our economic resilience in an increasingly volatile global landscape. In his own words, President Marcos said, "My visit to Washington, D.C., and most importantly, my meeting with President Trump, is essential to continuing to advance our national interests and strengthening our alliance." At the heart of this trip is the enduring yet evolving relationship between the Philippines and the United States, our oldest treaty ally. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty remains the backbone of this partnership, but new challenges demand renewed commitments. Marcos's agenda is ambitious and precise. At the Pentagon, he met with U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio to reaffirm military cooperation. Talks focused on support for maritime security, joint exercises, and a long-term plan to modernize the Philippine Armed Forces amid growing threats in the Indo-Pacific region. Later, Marcos is set to engage in high-level bilateral talks at the White House with President Trump. Topping the list is trade, a sensitive issue as Philippine exporters face the brunt of new tariffs. A bilateral trade deal tailored specifically for the Philippines is being proposed, one that seeks to unlock access to American markets, protect local industries, and foster mutual economic growth. But it's not all defense and trade. Marcos is also set to meet with business leaders from the technology and semiconductor industries, aiming to boost investment in critical sectors of the Philippine economy. He will address the Filipino community in Washington and meet with young Filipino-American leaders, bridging generations in this centuries-old friendship. Ambassador Romualdez called the U.S. Philippine alliance ironclad. In a speech delivered at the Philippine Embassy, he emphasized, "Today, our alliance continues to remain strong and ironclad, with both nations firmly and fully committed to our 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. The friendship between our two countries is closer than ever." He added that beyond government ties, the people-to-people connection, cultural, familial, and personal, keeps this alliance alive. "We are shoulder to shoulder as steadfast friends, partners in prosperity, and ironclad allies," Romualdez declared. This visit sends a message. The Philippines is not just a quiet observer of global affairs, it is an engaged player seeking partnerships that deliver real benefits to its citizens. Yet while the President is in the U.S., he has not lost sight of the crisis back home. Before his departure, President Marcos instructed all relevant government agencies to prioritize relief operations for areas hit by relentless rains and flash floods in the south. In a televised message, he urged the public to heed government advisories and stay safe, emphasizing that the safety of every Filipino is our number one priority. Let this be a reminder. While diplomacy unfolds thousands of miles away, the machinery of government at home must not rest. To our kababayans affected by the floods, follow the directives issued by local authorities, seek help from the DSWD, NDRRMC, and other agencies, and prioritize your safety and well-being. This is not just about politics. It's about protecting lives, livelihoods, and the future of our nation, at home and on the world stage. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to AngKampanero, Tinig ng Katotohanan, Tunog ng Kasaysayan. Thanks to our new subscribers and to everyone who watched this video. Let's keep the bell ringing for truth, justice, and freedom.